But man, for me, right now, this is the bike. So, it's nice out here, nice sunshiny day. So, I've given up telling people that this is the best motorcycle or that's the best motorcycle. I realize what there is there's the best motorcycle for you right now. And on that basis, I'm just totally happy with this bike. You know, I wanted something lightweight. I wanted something super reliable. I wanted to not look terrible, but I really, you know, I don't care how it looks. I care how it functions. And I wanted to get on those dirt roads, which I've been doing, and it's great. And I'm only going to get better at that. So, and this thing will go touring. I mean, I could take this to Patagonia. I really could. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, I'd do 60, 65 miles an hour all day long on this thing. I wouldn't be doing 70 or 80, or maybe I would. The bike will do it. So, you know, and it's just such a sweet, sweet motor. The brakes are fine. I heard somebody on a YouTube video bitching about the brakes. I've had a lot of bikes. I've had good brakes. I've had terrible brakes. I had a Triumph America once. The brakes were horrendously bad. These brakes are fine, you know. No problem with the brakes. So, you know, why do you want a motorcycle? So the first motorcycle I had, a little Suzuki TS185, which really wasn't even mine. It was my dad's, but I kind of inherited it and used it as transportation when I was old enough to get my driver's license in Utah. And so what was that bike? First, it was freedom. I could go places. And secondly, it was fun. I would be in the dirt trails and the foothills of the mountains, doing you know, serious enduro riding for hours on end. And I even raced that bike. I raced motocross on that bike. We'd take off the lights and slap a number on the front and go racing, which was a hell of a lot of fun. So, you know, that was that bike. And then I had a bike out in California for college. That was a sweet little Yamaha RD350. And that was just pure transportation. It was the only transportation I could afford. And it just happened to be an awesome little bike. And then after college, I bought a Honda CB500X. That was, you know, back in the 70s, late 70s, and bike was freaking awesome. Rode it through the winter. Again, mostly transportation. And then I got a car and a job and moved to Manhattan and got married, and then got married again and had a kid and all that stuff that we do. And then in 2000, I said, you know what, I got to get back into motorcycling. And I bought a little Suzuki SV, well, not SV, no, it's now they call it the Boulevard, but it was the little 600 single, the Thumper. And that was an interesting bike. And customizing bikes was all the rage back then, so I hacked it up and rattle can painted it, and I did all kinds of crap to that bike. Put a Super Trap muffler on it, which was incredibly loud because I didn't understand that those baffles had to go into the pipe, so it was basically open pipe. God, and then what did I get after that? It might have been the Triumph America after that, or maybe the Suzuki SV650. So SV650, just a sweet bike. But I tried to go touring on that. I tried to take that up to what's the big rally up in New Hampshire? Americade, and then there's another one. And I tried to take that SV up there, and oh, you're on your wrists, and the seat is not made for it, and my God, I was just in agony. So it just wasn't made for that. The Suzuki SV650, sweet little motor, great commuter, cool looking little bike. It's great for zipping around, right? And that's what it's for. And then at some point I got the Triumph America, which I thought would be a little bit better for touring, and it was. That's the bike that had terrible brakes, but it had the panache of being a Triumph, and it was a cruiser, which is what the Triumph America is. It's trying to be like an American-style cruiser. Underpowered, awful brakes. I had that for a while. And then I think I followed that up with a Kawasaki Mean Streak. And I forget the displacement was, probably, I don't know, 1200 or something. It had a decent motor. It was a big V-twin. And I took that touring. I'd go with my Harley buddies. They were on their Ultras and their Street Glides. But I had saddlebags on that Mean Streak, and I went all over Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky. Had some great rides on that thing. Pretty sure that's the bike I did Tail of the Dragon on. And then after that, I kind of wanted to see. I think it was after that was the Harley Street Glide. You know, my buddies all had the Harleys, and I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. So I laid down big bucks for a brand new 2012 gloss black Harley Street Glide. And it was a great bike. I really thought I got my money's worth. Well, maybe that's a stretch, because it was a lot of money. I had payments on that bike. I didn't have that kind of cash, even with the Mean Streak as a down payment. But great bike. And that's the bike I took from Connecticut to a family reunion in Salt Lake City, Utah, and then up to the I think it was the 75th Sturgis Rally, and then home by the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And I think I was 16 days on the road, 6,000 miles, something like that. And of course, that's what that Street Glide was made for. And then, you know, and then I was back to just sort of tooling around on the back roads of Connecticut, doing these short rides like I do here. And the Harley was just too much bike for it. And then, as I've complained about before, the Harley maintenance is early and often and expensive. And I just said, it's ridiculous. So I wanted to downsize, but I kind of still wanted to stay in the Harley club. So I traded in the Street Glide on a 1200 Sportster, which is almost unheard of. And I'm sure I got cash back, except that I still owed on the Street Glide. But I got a good deal on that. Love the 1200 Sportster. It was the classic, and it had the forks, the extended front forks, so it was almost like a little chopper. But that bike and that 1200 Evo engine, that was a cool engine. But I'm on the back road zipping around like I'm sport bike riding, and I had to turn that steering wheel to get that, chopper-esque front wheel to turn. And I rubbed that front tire bald. I mean, it was freaking bald. And then the other thing about that bike is it was too small. My wife didn't want to ride on it. My son would get on that thing, but my wife wasn't having it. So then I went for the Goldilocks Harley. I went for the Switchback. And that had the 103 motor. Great motor. It had saddlebags. It had the removable windshield, which is a cool feature. Saddlebags pop off, windshield pops off. And I did a fair amount of touring on that bike. My wife loves that bike. That's the bike I brought down here. But again, you know, the expensive, hey Dean, I know that guy. The expensive maintenance, the way these air-cooled Harleys just sort of rattle themselves apart. I just wasn't digging it, and it was still, you know, like an 800-pound bike. And I had to drag it. I had a different storage unit that I have now, so I had to drive it into this hallway and then drive it on this ramp, and then the ramp had wheels on it so I could roll it into our storage unit. It was quite an operation. So, and I saw that Can-Am Riker, and I said, man, what the heck is that thing? That's pretty cool. So I got the Riker, and so much fun. Really had a ball on it. Liked it very much. But as I've talked about, you find out, what these bikes don't do. And I found out that the Riker is no good for touring. It just sucks on the highway. I'm sorry. It jumps and skitters around. It just, you just don't want to do that. It had no storage capability. You could buy a single saddlebag for one side of the bike. It just looked dumb. Great fun. Great looker. Boy, everywhere you go, people think you're on the Batmobile, they're like, what's that? Turn heads, great conversation starter. But limitations. And even, I wanted to go off-road, I wanted to explore dirt roads. Because you had the two wheels in front and the one wheel in the back, unlike a motorcycle where you can pick your way through nice lanes on a dirt road, this thing hits everything. If the pothole or the rock is left, right, or center, very hard to avoid it. So you're basically plowing through everything. And a lot of these dirt roads are like two single tracks, and in the middle, is this hump of grass and rocks where the cars, the Jeeps, never go. And now you got your rear wheel just hammering along in that stuff. The front wheels are happy. Your rear wheel is like, what the hell? So anyway, that was the Riker, and so I said, you know what? I need a bike I can go touring on. So now I'm to the point where I don't give a damn about the Harley mark. I've had Suzuki's, I've had Yamahas, I've had Triumphs. Oh, I had a Moto Guzzi in there too. I had a little Moto Guzzi V7. Same time I had the Harley Street Glide. I forgot about that. A little cafe racer in this sort of goldish green color. Great little bike. So I've had Moto Guzzis, Triumphs, Harleys. I've had everything, right? Suzuki, Honda. And so now I don't care about looks. Although I want a cool looking bike for sure. But what do I want, right? So first of all, I want to do something with this plug. It was too hot with the vest on. Let me pull over here and take a breather here. So, where was I in my bike history? I think I was talking about the Riker, which led to the Honda CTX. So, I did a lot of research. I didn't want a big rattly V-twin anymore. I was sick of the Harleys. So what I wanted to do was get something smooth and reliable and something I could go touring on. My wife and kid wouldn't ride on the Riker. I thought I'd get a bike that they would be happy on the back seat. So I got the CTX 1300 Deluxe. Loved the bike. Loved it. Smooth V4, water cooled, great looking machine in red. Comfortable, super comfortable saddle, great riding position, big flat seat for a passenger, but still 720 pounds worth of motorcycle, and I couldn't take it on a dirt road. So, you know, I was doing videos about how the Riker is the greatest thing in the world, and I was doing videos about how the CTX is the greatest thing in the world. And I'm not going to do that about the CB500X. I'm just going to tell you, the CB500X, 420 pounds instead of 720 pounds. Great suspension. It'll go on dirt roads. It'll go, like I said, I'll take the damn thing to Patagonia if I want to. Take it across country, zip around town, go down dirt roads. I can modify it to be tougher. You know, if I want to do some serious adventure, off-roading, I just couldn't be happier with it. So there she is. And like I said, you know, I don't care about how this bike looks, but it looks good. I like the way this thing looks, I really do. Especially with that Yoshi pipe on there. So, and I've talked about it, I got mods coming. I'm going to extend that fender. I've got some serrated foot pegs so I can go off-road. I got that crossbar coming, so I'm going to mount power outlet and ambient temperature gauge. That's mostly it. Oh, I know I ordered engine guards from somebody. I don't know when the hell they're ever going to show up, which I really should get, because I'm going to drop this thing sooner or later. I've been told that little pan at the bottom there is really useless, and I really should put some armor down there. But man, for me, right now, this is the bike.